Well, welcome back to the homestead. Last time we were out here, I just started working on the drain lines for the house, and I gave you a brief overview of how I was going to hook everything up, and then we got our toilet flanges installed and a couple other little odds and ends, but we didn't make just a ton of progress. So a couple of nights during the week I came out and worked and made some progress on the vents in the house, and then last weekend I came out and worked and got most of the drains under the house installed. Still have to hook the kitchen and master bathroom sinks in, and other than that, everything's done. So once I'm done hooking all the sinks in and everything under the house is complete, I'll take the camera under there and try and show you what it looks like. But until then, I don't want to take my camera down there. But on the inside of the house, I need to hook the kitchen sink vent up to the main vertical stack, and then I need to do the plumbing for the upstairs tub, and I need to get that connected into the drain and into the vent. So those are the things I'm going to focus on today, and then if I have time I'll run the last 4 water lines and get the water lines checked off and finished up, and that'll probably be all I get done for the day. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and jump inside and take a look at what everything looks like now, and then see if we can make a little headway on it. Okay, so the main trunk line was originally going to run under these stairs that you see, and then out up under the window there in the background. But with this being the low end of the house, there's just not enough room for the amount of fall that we need on that main trunk line. So what I did was I moved that main trunk line forward to where you see this piece of vertical PVC pipe, and the main trunk line now just comes out and goes straight from that out the side of the house. But moving it up just a few feet there gave us the amount of clearance we needed to get the fall on the pipe. And then where that pipe goes through the floor there, it connects into that main trunk line with the long sweep 90. And then the 90 comes back this direction a little ways to pick up the kitchen sink and put a clean out plug in it. So then if we turn this direction, we should be able to see the kitchen sink there is going to have an 1.5-inch drain going through the floor, and once that gets down under the floor joist, it's going to convert to 2-inch and run back to this main trunk line at a 45. So now let's go take a look at the laundry room. So here in the laundry room, we've got our washer dryer box here. Comes into a 2-inch drain, and then comes across, connects into a T and goes out through the floor. It also turns and goes up to an 1.5-inch vent. And that vent will go all the way up and then across the ceiling there, and turns and goes up there, and then it will connect into the main vertical stack up in the attic. Over here, you can just barely see it in there, but there's an 1.5-inch drain coming from the upstairs bathroom sink. It runs into this 1.5-inch vertical pipe, and that'll go down under the house, and it'll come back and connect into the drain line here, where this comes off at a 45, and that'll come in and connect into it at a 45, and then both of those lines will come back across the floor here and connect into the main trunk line back here with a 45. Then over here, this is the drain for the upstairs tub, and we've got it connected in under the house, but I do not have it finished up here. So you can see right there, right before it goes through the top plate, it stops. So I've got to extend that on over, and here in this bay you can see I've got a hole for the 1.5-inch vent line for the tub to come down. I've also got to cut a hole for the drain line to come in. So that's one of the things we're going to try and get done today and get that connected in. Alright, so the next room is going to be this half bathroom under the stairs, and the corner pedestal sink that I ordered hasn't come in yet still. So I know the plumbing is going to be roughly in this area, and I've got that extended out to the main trunk line at a 45, but I do not have it coming up through the floor yet because I'm waiting on the sink to come in to drill that hole. And then over here we have the toilet for the half bathroom, and I wasn't able to find a way to run a vent for this toilet that I liked. So what I've decided to do is try to do a wet vent on this toilet. So this toilet will go down a 3-inch pipe to a long sweep 90, and then it connects in at a 45 to the main trunk line about 3 feet away. That main trunk line then comes across here and turns to this main vertical stack and goes out to the roof for the roof vent. So I believe I can pull enough air from the back side of the main trunk line that I won't violate the trap in this toilet. So we're going to install it like that and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we may have to try and cut a air admittance valve into that line. But it's pretty easy to get to that under the house, so I'm not too concerned about it. And like I said, I really believe it'll work okay with the wet vent system. So that's what we're going to try for that toilet. And if we get moved in, it turns out that doesn't work so well, then we'll go back under the house and change it. But for now, that toilet's going to wind up being a wet vent instead of a dry vent. So the next room we have here is the walk-in shower for the master bathroom. And kind of out in the middle here is going to be a 2-inch drain. And I don't have that cut in the floor yet, but I do have the drain under the house roughed in. And that comes back as a 2-inch drain to the main trunk line and connects in at a 45. And then over here, we've got a spot for a antique clawfoot tub. And we're going to have a trap right here. And that'll run over at a 45 also and connect into the main trunk line. Now, both the shower and this tub, as well as the toilet and the sink, are all going to vent off of this 2-inch dry vent here. So over here is the master toilet. It comes down and has a Y that comes off to the 2-inch vent, and then it comes down to a long sweep 90, and then comes over here to a long sweep T and connects into the main trunk line. Then over here we have the master sink, and that's going to be an 1.5-inch drain that comes down, and it'll come across and then turn in 45 into the main trunk line. And the vent for the sink here is going to come up and go into the floor space between the first and second floor, and it'll turn and come over, and then it'll get into the crawl space for upstairs and connect over it to that 2-inch vent line. And I'll show you that from upstairs. Alright, so right here you can see the vent line from the master lavatory coming up, and that 1.5-inch vent line comes across here and connects into this 2-inch dry vent, and then that 2-inch vent comes up and gets up into the attic. Sorry for the lighting, but it comes across here, and that 2-inch line runs all the way back this direction to the main vertical stack. All right, so here in the upstairs bathroom, I've got an 1.5-inch dry vent that comes across and connects into the main vertical stack, and that's for the laundry box downstairs. And then over here is where the tub is going to go. You can see I've already got a hole in the plate there for the vent, but I don't have the drain in yet. So I've got to cut the hole for the drain in and run that drain line across and connect it into the 1.5-inch pipe you see coming up right here. And that'll finish out the tub for the drain, and then the vent for the tub is going to come up here, and it'll connect into this piece here in the attic, and then that'll run across to the main vertical stack. connect in to the main vertical stack right there. That other line comes down. It's an 1.5 inch dry vent for the sink in the upstairs bathroom here. And then this is the 1.5 inch drain going down that we showed you between the floors for the sink. So then we also have the kitchen sink. It's going to connect in right here. I've got to finish running that line as well. And that line will run across the crawl space there to the exterior wall, and turn down and go between the floors and connect up to the kitchen sink. So then the last thing I want to show you is the main vertical stack. And let me bring you out here for that. All right, so the last thing I want to show you before we get started working is this main vertical stack. And if you'll notice, traditionally a main vertical stack exits out of the roof of the house, but on mine, it stops about 1 foot shy of exiting the roof. And you can see the small fitting on the end of the pipe there, and that's called an air admittance valve. So the purpose of that valve is when the pressure inside the pipe and the pressure in the attic is balanced, there's a valve that closes. So you don't get an exchange of air between the pipe and your attic. And if you build up a positive pressure, say the sewage gas is building up in the pipes, that creates a positive pressure and it forces that valve closed even harder so that none of that gas can escape into the home. And then whenever you run water through your drains, the water creates a negative pressure in the pipe, and that negative pressure between the pipe and the attic allows that valve to open. So the valve opens and it pulls air in from the attic to allow the water to flow freely through the drain. Once the water is finished flowing through the drain, the pressure balances in the pipe and the attic space, and then the valve closes again, and it starts that whole process over. So the benefit of that is I don't have to extend that pipe out through my roof, and I don't have to get up on the roof to flash that and have a potential leak point that I have to continue to maintain and check on year after year. So as long as this valve works like it's supposed to, I think I'll really like it. If it turns out that it doesn't work as well as it should, then I can always extend that pipe up through the attic at a later time. But there's a lot of people using these, and I think I'm going to be really happy with it. So anything that keeps me from making a hole in the roof makes me pretty happy. So we're going to try that out and see how it works. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and get busy and finish running the vent for the kitchen sink. All right, well, somehow I'm running out of supplies. Hooking the vent up upstairs, I'm short one coupling, being able to finish hooking the vent up. And then down here, I've gone ahead and got all my fittings cut, or my pipe cut, and the fittings put in place, but I'm running low on glue. So from here down, I'll have to glue that next time I come out. But once I glue that and put the coupling upstairs, the pipe for the kitchen sink will be done. With the exception of under the house where I have to hook it into the main trunk line. But everything from the floor up will be finished on the sink. So let's go ahead and start looking at the bathtub in the upstairs bathroom now. Alright, so to hook the tub up, I really need to know where this drain is going to go through the floor so that I can cut an access hole in the floor for it. And the drain is not directly under the drain in the tub. That drain turns to a 90 and then the overflow tees down into it. So the drain is actually just a little bit behind the back of the tub here and it goes straight down. Let me take you around to the back and show you. Alright, so with the tub sitting in place temporarily and I've got the overflow pipe in place, it just goes straight down to the floor and I've marked on the floor where that needs to go through. So now I can slide this tub assembly out of the way, go ahead and drill that hole through the floor and start running the rough end plumbing for it. So let's go ahead and get to that. Alright, so I'm not sure if that's focusing very clear. That doesn't look like it in the viewfinder, but at any rate, we've got our drain pipe coming down through the floor, comes into an 1.5 inch P-trap, goes over to a Y to pick up the dry vent, and then goes across the ceiling there, and it's going to turn down and connect into that vertical drain. But before I can do that, I've got to pick up some more glue and a few couplings. So maybe I can make it back out here tomorrow and finish that in the kitchen sink up. And then the interior drains, I believe, will be done. So. Alright, well that's going to do it for me today. I didn't quite get as much done as I wanted, as usual. But I kind of ran out of some supplies, or I would have. I've got to have a couple of 1.5 inch couplings and another thing of glue. So once I get that and come back, probably 30 minutes to an hour, I can finish up the drains and vents in the house. And then the only thing I'll have left to work on is below the house, and that really shouldn't be more than a half day to a day down there. So we're getting close to finishing up the drains, and once that's done, then we can look at moving over into the insulation and electrical side of stuff, and hopefully that won't be too far off. So until then, y'all keep checking back.